We are able to prevail. We are capable of destroying us, but we are truly ecstatic. Ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea who I am. Put on your seatbelts because this is going to be more than just a recap of a tennis match. This is a story about pressure, pride, and one of the bloodiest breakdowns in Southeast Asian sports history. You're about to receive a reality check that will make your mouth drop if you thought tennis was all about handshakes, kindness, and gracious losers. We're talking about a single icy rear, a backstage explosion that nearly turned violent, and a diplomatic event under the guise of a semi-final game. In just a few seconds, it ended 3 full tantrums. Once again, greetings from champions. Tennis, where we offer the pure, unfiltered truth of the stories that shake the tennis world to its core. Today's story has it all. A golden woman facing hostile masses. Accusations of dishonesty that are absurd. Witnesses are still talking about an altercation that happened in the locker room. Furthermore, history was altered by the vengeance performance's domination. After reading this, you will understand why Alex Eala is an official ice queen who served justice's coldest dish in addition to being a tennis star prodigy. The stage was prepared in Thailand's Buri in December for the SEA Games. The 33rd Southeast Asian Games will take place. Let me give you an overview of SEA Games for those who are unfamiliar. Tennis. This isn't Wimbledon, where everyone applauds and sips champagne. Conflict exists here. When Thailand plays the Philippines on a tennis court, especially in Thade, you're witnessing more than just a sporting event. You're witnessing a battle for supremacy in a region where national pride is at risk. Every serve, every volley, every grunt. There were a ton of Thai fans at the National Center for Tennis Development who were all on the same mission. Notice their Naklo, the local hero, eliminated the threat posed by the Filipinos and made progress towards gold. They brought drums. They carried flags. A small city could be powered by the force they supplied. Even before a ball was hit, there was a loud noise. It was time for necklaces. The crowd behind her, the advantage of home court, and the pressure on her opponent. It was everything geared up for a Thai victory. Celebrations across the 20-year-old Alex. Eala was the net phenomenon who had already made history by being the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam singles championship. She trained at the Rafa Nadal Spanish Academy, battled her way into the WTA Top 150, and carried the weight of a nation's tennis ambitions. But this is the issue. What sets Eala apart from other talented young athletes? She is more than just knowledgeable. Her blood arteries are filled with ice. As other players disintegrate, Eala flourishes in hostile crowds. Others, however, let the pressure suffocate them. Eala uses it as fuel. Despite the fact that thousands of people were in prayer when she walked onto the court, she didn't give a damn about failing. She had a mission to perform, and insufficient drums, perhaps forceful stares or whistles, were approaching to prevent her. As soon as the game started, it was clear that it would not be competitive. Everyone was expecting a suspenseful story. Eala came out blazing. She was drawing lines that didn't belong with her left-handed forehand. The Thai superstar was missing and lunging because she was kicking her serve up and away from Naklo's backhand. Every time Naklo tried to establish rhythm, Eala would make a shot so amazing that all of the momentum was lost. The opening set was a demolition derby. In what seemed like 15 minutes, Eala won 6-1. The loud audience gave way to a stunned silence. This was not intended to happen. This was not supposed to happen. Naklo was supposed to win. She was the favorite person in the house. She owned the ranks. The crowd was hers. But none of that mattered since there was a guy on the other side of the net who had previously surpassed considerably bigger stages than this. But this is when things started to go weird, as if the match's rhythm started to falter as soon as the second set began. Furthermore, it had nothing to do with the quality of tennis. Witnesses and onlookers at the courtroom noticed something strange. It started to drag between locations. Naklo's service was taking longer than expected. There were times when shoe tying seemed to happen at oddly appropriate times. Declare that breaks that lasted only a few beats are too long. Every time Yellow was focused, locked in, and ready to serve, there would be a delay, an interruption, or anything to stop the momentum. To be fair, Gamesmanship is a part of tennis. Every player engages in it to some degree. Even if the events at Nabi went beyond the line between strategy and desperation, anyone watching could see that Naklo was doing everything in her power to hinder Eala's advancement since she couldn't beat her with actual tennis. The audience also became weapons. Every time Eala tossed the ball, a whistle would sound from somewhere in the stands. She consistently failed to serve first, and the cheers were so loud that it appeared as though Naklo had won the match. There were no Thai spectators at the tennis match. They were there to support their athlete in every necessary way, even if it meant making the competition a horrible mental experience. But this is the beautiful thing about champs. They don't offer explanations. They don't complain to the umpire every 5 seconds. They adjust. They adapt. Either way, they win. And Alexa did just that. They insisted that the audience be hushed or lose their composure, even if fewer players would have collapsed. Ellie stayed confined to her bubble. She kept her attention on the baseline. She continued to breathe steadily. With the exception of the yellow ball and the white lines, she ignored everything. Naklo started to fight back in the second set, taking advantage of the crowd's excitement and the delays that worked in her favor. She was trying to physically frighten the younger participant by grunting more loudly and hitting harder. For a brief moment, the overall score rose. The Thai supporters were shouting for a return, and it appeared as though they might get it. The potential grew more audible, even though the drums started to beat faster. After every point, Naklo was pounding her fist, enjoying the ruckus. But at 4-4, Alex Eala's game put the champion's actions in jeopardy. She broke her serve. Even a few Thai supporters were compelled to reluctantly accept her winning cross-court forehand since it painted the sidelines so perfectly. The stadium was silent for the first time. The drumming stopped in the afternoon. The whistles died. Everyone knew for a moment that they were watching someone special. Eala didn't hesitate to serve at 5-4 throughout the game. She didn't become tense. She showed Naklo no signs of hope. She finished the match 61-64 with precise accuracy. It was a neat, straightforward victory on paper. Had bought her gold medal ticket and exceeded her opponent in every important way. Make a match. Keeping her head up, she waved to the small group of Filipino supporters who had persevered through the hostile environment as she packed her bags politely and departed the court. Now that the game is over and the work is finished, it's time to prepare for the final. However, due to what transpired in the player tunnel area and changing room, the true drama had not even started. Transform this into a tennis match. Make a game an official international competition. Tennis matches frequently end with a handshake near the net. A quick nod of distinction, possibly a good fit or some luck in the championship game. It is one of the game's charming traditions. At that period, even fierce adversaries could act civilly. But according to onlookers at the net, Eala and Naklo's handshake was cold enough to cause frostbite. Naklo barely made eye contact with him. She made a fleeting hand gesture before turning away, but there was no smile or acknowledgement. You may then use a racket to hack through the thick drain. He continued to be unresponsive, always the professional. She simply packed up her things and walked out of the court. But Naklo was enraged. Her people were clearly devouring the defeat at home in front of her. Furthermore, the pressure cooker that had been growing during the game was about to explode in a spectacular manner. It started in the players' tunnel and quickly spilt into the changing area. She allegedly came unattached while still wearing her faker Naklo match clothes, which were drenched with sweat and rushing adrenaline. The frustration of losing and the humiliation of being subdued in front of her hometown crowd. The terrible burden of expectations. Everything arrived in a torrent of fury and accusations. She was moving, making ostentatious gestures, and speaking rapidly to her coaching staff at a volume that could be heard by everyone in the vicinity. The actions of other players were stopped. Communication was halted by mid-con officials. In a matter of seconds, the atmosphere shifted from one of calm following the game to one of intense tension. Fasipor Naklo then spoke the words that are currently doing the rounds in Southeast Asian sports forums and social media. Everyone in the area was astonished when Naklo made a comment, according to numerous sources that were featured in the report. She screamed loudly and clearly. I am hard to understand why you should value her simply because she is Filipino. Take a moment to consider that sentence. Ella's forehand was not assaulted by the Naklo method in the heat of the moment, still experiencing the anguish of losing. She didn't criticize her serve. She had no doubts about her plan. She ridiculed her nationality. It has more to do with Ella's birthplace than her performance. It was a raw, unadorned moment of annoyance that revealed deeper issues than just being disappointed by losing a tennis match. It exposed the intense local competition and unresolved issues that are seething beneath the surface of Southeast Asian sports. Naklo went on to imply that Ella had deliberately prolonged the time between points, which was an amusing accusation given Ella's cunning and the delays she experienced during the game. She said that Ella had deliberately thrown off her rhythm. She insisted that officials look at the game's result, understand its appeal, and look for any way to reverse the undeniable 6-1, 6-4 scoreline. There was silence in the corridor. A pen drop was audible. Other athletes who had been talking or warming up stopped and stared. Authorities who had been reviewing documents looked up in disbelief. This was not your average frustration after a game. This was not a player disputing an umpire's decision or lamenting a bad line call. This was a complete collapse. It transcended every aspect of sportsmanship. The accusation that Alex. Everyone who had really seen the game found it puzzling that Ella, one of the most composed and youthful professional athletes on the circuit, was either a cheat or a time waster. But anger is illogical. There is no justification for frustration. Naklo was neither irritated nor furious at the moment. She was looking for someone to blame for her own shortcomings on the court. Imagine you're Alex Eala in this instance. You just won a tough semi-final match in one of the most hostile environments imaginable. You're physically exhausted. You're mentally worn out. You're trying to recover and prepare for the SEA Games, which will be the most significant final of your career. And then you find yourself in a hallway. The opponent is screaming that your nationality prevents her from showing you respect. Most players would lose it. Most players would come over and start yelling at each other, which would require security to break up. In sports, we have witnessed it countless times. When egos clash, anger breaks out. Unpleasant things do occur. But not all gamers are like Alexa. She operates on a completely other frequency. Ella was calmly retaping her racket while sitting on a chair near the physiotherapy area, focusing on her healing. She heard the entire diatribe of Naklo. Every accusation, insult, every attack on her character and heritage. Everyone in the hallway was waiting for the blast. They were waiting for Ella to jump to defend herself and respond with a yell, to turn this into the kind of dramatic dispute that may dominate the news for weeks. But ISA stayed motionless for a considerable amount of time, and she simply continued to meticulously videotape her racket, her whole face unreadable, the calm before the storm. Then, steadily and slowly, Alex Eala stood up. She didn't scream. She refrained from throwing her racket against the wall. She didn't ask for protection or say, "I'm sorry." She simply walked up to where Naklo was still yelling at an official, stuttering wildly, and demanding compensation for claimed wrongs, something she could only imagine. Ella was completely relaxed, gazing down at someone who was misbehaving in her royal room with a queenly expression. She had icy eyes. Like a laser, it cut through all the noise and chaos. Naklo's statement in a different,